Alaskan Bush People has been a fan favorite for years, showing the wild and rugged life of the Brown family as they live off the grid. From building homes in the woods to surviving harsh winters, the show has always focused on family, strength, and staying close to nature. Viewers have grown attached to each member of the Brown clan, especially Joshua Bam Bam Brown, who's known for being quiet, smart, and dependable. Bam often kept to himself and stayed out of the spotlight compared to his more outspoken siblings. But behind that tough, steady exterior, Bam faced something that shook not just him, but his entire family to the core. It was a moment no one saw coming, one that changed his life forever. It remains one of the most emotional moments in the show's history. What really happened to Bam Brown? What led to such a painful chapter in his life? Let's take a closer look at the story behind the tragedy. Is Alaskan Bush People fake or real? Ever since Alaskan Bush People hit TV screens in 2014, fans have been hooked by the wild adventures of the Brown family, living off-grid, hunting, building cabins, and surviving in the middle of nowhere. But over the years, a big question has followed the show. Is it real, or is it all scripted? The rumors have been strong, and the truth might surprise you. Let's face it, reality TV is often a mix of real-life moments and staged drama. But some fans believe Alaskan Bush People might be more fiction than fact. Several former cast members and people close to the family have come forward to say that not everything you see is 100% real. One of the biggest voices questioning the show's truth is Raven Brown, the estranged wife of Bear Brown. In an interview, she claimed that only about 10% of it is real, and the rest is made up for the cameras. According to her, the Browns didn't actually live in the wild full-time. Instead, they were taken to certain locations just for filming, and then went back to more comfortable living situations afterward. Fans have also pointed out that some of the show's dramatic moments seem a little too perfect, like surprise bear encounters or emergency repairs just in time for a snowstorm. Critics believe these scenes are often set up by the production team to create tension and keep viewers interested. Another reason people doubt the show's authenticity is the family's past legal trouble. In 2014, Billy and Bam Brown were charged with lying about living in Alaska to collect permanent fund dividend checks. This led many people to wonder, if they weren't really living in Alaska full-time, how off-grid were they really? Adding more fuel to the fire, locals from Alaska and Washington have shared stories claiming the Browns were often seen in town, shopping for supplies or staying in hotels. That doesn't exactly match the image of a family completely disconnected from society. But not everyone agrees with these claims. Bear Brown has strongly denied that the show is fake. In a 2024 Instagram video, he said the show was not faked. It simply followed my family. He admitted that construction workers built shelters for the camera crew, but said the family's buildings were real and built by them. Alaskan Bush People may not be 100% fake, but it's probably not 100% real either. Like most reality shows, it walks the line between truth and entertainment. There are real people and real emotions, but also a fair bit of editing and planning behind the scenes. How Alaskan Bush People started, the wild beginning of the Browns' TV journey. When Alaskan Bush People first aired on May 6, 2014, no one knew just how popular or controversial it would become. The show introduced us to the Brown family, a unique group of people who claim to live completely off the grid in the deep wilderness of Alaska. It was raw, rugged, and totally different from the typical reality shows people were used to. The idea behind the show was simple but fascinating. Viewers followed Billy Brown, his wife Ammy, and their 7 kids as they tried to build a life far from modern society. No electricity, no internet, no grocery stores, just the land, their hands, and each other. They hunted for food, built their own shelters, and learned how to survive in the middle of nowhere. It was the kind of life most people couldn't imagine living, and that's exactly what made the show so interesting. The Browns were shown living in the remote areas of Alaska, including places like Chichagof Island and Hoonah. The show painted a picture of a family that had chosen to turn away from the fast-paced modern world in exchange for a quiet, simple life in nature. They called their home Browntown, a rough and rustic cabin site they built themselves using whatever materials they could find. Each family member had their own personality, which made the show even more entertaining. Billy was the wise and soft-spoken leader. Ammy was the loving mother who held the family together. The kids, Bear, Bam, Gabe, Noah, Snowbird, and Rain, each had different roles in the family, from hunting to fixing things to helping around the homestead. Right from the start, viewers could see how close they were and how much they depended on each other. The first season focused a lot on the family starting from scratch, chopping wood, gathering food, and figuring out how to survive Alaska's harsh winters. It wasn't always easy. They dealt with bad weather, health issues, and the challenges of living so far away from help. But through it all, the Browns kept going, and that determination is what pulled many viewers in. Of course, not long after the premiere, people started asking questions. Was everything on the show real? Were they really living there year-round? But at the beginning, the focus was mostly on the adventure, the family bond, and the idea of returning to a simpler way of life. The series premiere laid the foundation for what would become one of Discovery Channel's longest-running reality shows. It sparked curiosity, conversation, and a loyal fan base that stuck around for years. The Brown family's residency fraud scandal. What really happened? When you think of Alaskan Bush People, you probably picture the Brown family chopping wood, building cabins, and surviving in the wild, far from modern life. But in real life, not everything was as off the grid as it seemed, especially when it came to their residency status in Alaska. In fact, the Browns were involved in a big legal mess that became one of the most talked about moments in the show's history: the residency fraud scandal. Here's what went down. The state of Alaska offers something called the Permanent Fund Dividend, PFD, a yearly check that goes to residents who live in the state full-time. To get it, you can't be out of Alaska for more than 180 days in a year unless you're away for things like military service, education, or medical reasons. Well, between 2009 and 2012, the Brown family applied for and received PFD payments, over $20,000 worth. The problem? They weren't actually living in Alaska full-time during those years. In 2014, an investigation by Alaska's Department of Revenue led to a grand jury indictment. The state charged several members of the Brown family, including Billy Brown, the father, and his son Joshua Bam Bam Brown, with multiple counts of unsworn falsification and theft. These are serious charges, some of them felonies. Basically, the state said the Browns had lied on government forms to get money they didn't qualify for. Eventually, in 2016, Billy and Bam took a plea deal. They both pleaded guilty to one misdemeanor count of second-degree unsworn falsification. As part of the deal, they had to pay back the money, complete community service, and each serve 30 days in jail. Interestingly, they didn't appear in court in person. They phoned in from California, which added even more fuel to the idea that they weren't living the remote Alaskan lifestyle the show promoted. Billy later released a statement saying he wasn't trying to cheat the system, but admitted that he didn't keep good records of the family's movements. "Because of the way we live and travel, I didn't keep good track," he said. "I take full responsibility." While the scandal involved actions that took place before the TV show started, it still made fans wonder, how real is the show? If the Browns weren't living in Alaska during those years, were they ever as off the grid as we thought? The residency fraud case didn't stop the show, though. Alaskan Bush People continued to air for several more seasons, but the legal trouble left a permanent mark on the family's public image. Why Matt Brown has headed back to rehab. Things haven't been easy lately for Alaskan Bush People star Matt Brown, but the good news is he's doing something about it. The oldest son of the Brown family has opened up about his ongoing battle with substance abuse and has made the brave decision to return to rehab to get his life back on track. This isn't Matt's first time in treatment. Back in spring 2016, he entered rehab for the first time after noticing that his drinking was becoming a real problem. At the time, he said he could see himself spiraling and that he didn't feel like himself anymore. He became more withdrawn, slower, and just didn't find joy in the things he used to love. Now, after another tough year full of ups and downs, Matt is heading back to treatment. In an interview with People, Matt shared, "I struggle with substance abuse, and after a year of ups and downs, I decided to return to treatment. I'm really grateful for everyone's support and hope to have my life back on track soon." Staying sober isn't easy, especially when life gets stressful. And for Matt, this past year has been full of pressure and emotional challenges. He's had to deal with constant moving, being away from his family, and one of the hardest things of all, his mom, Ammy's battle with cancer. Watching a loved one go through something so serious can take a heavy toll. And Matt stood by his mom through it all. Thankfully, Ammy is now doing much better and is even in remission. And now that she's stronger, she wants to be there for Matt the same way he was there for her. "It's hard not having one of my babies here with us," Ammy said, "but he was so strong for me, and I want to be strong for him." Matt's dad, Billy Brown, also shared his support, saying, "We miss him terribly, but we'd rather lose him from home for a little while than lose him forever. We just want him to do what he needs to do to get better." It's clear that Matt has the love and support of his family, and that means everything. Addiction is a tough road, and it takes strength, courage, and constant effort to stay on the path to recovery. The fact that Matt recognized he needed help and took action shows how strong he really is. Fans of Alaskan Bush People have followed the Brown family through thick and thin, and many are rooting for Matt to come out of this even stronger. It takes a lot to face your struggles head-on, and Matt is doing just that. Billy Brown's secret you didn't know about. If you're a fan of Alaskan Bush People, you probably know all about the Brown family's wild and off-grid lifestyle. But what many people don't realize is that Billy Brown had another child who wasn't part of the regular cast, his estranged daughter, Twila Byers. Twila is Billy's daughter from his first marriage to Brenda Brown, long before his life with Ammy and their 7 children aired on TV. Twila made a surprise appearance in 2016 on the show, and it was promoted as a big reunion between father and daughter. According to the show, it was the first time they had seen each other in over 30 years. That episode gave fans a rare look at a part of Billy's life that had been hidden for a long time. Even though the moment seemed emotional, Twila didn't stick around. She didn't become part of the main cast, and she kept her life completely separate from her famous family. It seems like she preferred to live away from the spotlight and didn't have much of a relationship with her half-siblings or Billy, who had been absent for most of her childhood. A few years later, Twila made headlines again, not through the show, but through a Facebook post that many fans thought was directed at her unusual family. In the post, Twyla wrote about how she always felt different growing up. She said, "I've never been the average person walking with the herd or conforming to the masses. So I had an epiphany today after reading a few things that I'm actually the normal one in my DNA lineage. Normal, average, and boring never felt so good." Though she didn't name anyone, fans were quick to assume she was throwing shade at the Brown family and their wilderness lifestyle. Her message seemed to say, "Hey, I'm the grounded one here," and that she was totally okay not being part of the TV drama. Twyla has a daughter of her own, Bronte Byers, which makes her part of the extended Brown family tree. In fact, Billy Brown had at least 3 grandchildren before he passed away in 2021. Along with Bronte, Bear Brown has a son named River, with his now ex-wife Raven Adams. And Noah Brown has a son named Elijah with his wife Rain Alicia. Gabe Brown was also expecting a child with his wife Raquel Parilla. She's chosen to live life on her own terms, away from cameras, the forest, and the fame. And honestly, she seems pretty happy being normal, average, and boring. In her world, that's exactly how she likes it. Ammy Browns' real-life survival story, Beyond the Bush. If you've ever watched Alaskan Bush People, you know Ammy Brown as the quiet but strong mom who holds the Brown family together. She's been through a lot, living in the wild, raising 7 kids, and dealing with all kinds of challenges. But in 2017, Ammy faced her toughest battle yet: lung cancer. It all started when Ammy began feeling sick. She was losing weight, had a constant cough, and felt weak. At first, the family didn't know what was wrong. But after some tests, the doctors gave them terrible news. Ammy had stage 3 lung cancer, and the chances of survival were very low, around 3%. The Brown family and their fans were heartbroken. This wasn't something they could handle in the woods of Alaska. The family packed up and moved to California, so Ammy could get the best treatment possible. She went through 12 weeks of chemotherapy and radiation, which made her very sick and weak. At times, she had to be in the hospital for days, even placed on a breathing machine. It was a scary time for everyone. The show's focus also changed during this time. Instead of just showing life in the wilderness, Alaskan Bush People began showing the emotional side of the family, visiting hospitals, talking about their fears, and supporting Ammy as she fought for her life. Fans got to see just how close the family really was, especially Billy and the kids, who all stepped up to help their mom. Through all of this, Ammy stayed strong. Even when she was tired and in pain, she kept fighting. She showed a lot of courage and didn't give up. Her family called her a warrior, and fans agreed. People from all over sent messages of love and support, and that meant a lot to the Browns. In 2020, after a long and hard fight, Ammy got some amazing news. She was cancer-free. She beat the odds. Even now, she still goes for regular checkups to make sure the cancer doesn't come back. But she's doing much better. Her journey inspired a lot of people. Many fans said they felt hopeful after watching her story. She showed that even when things look really bad, it's still possible to survive and keep going. Ammy also helped bring attention to lung cancer and reminded everyone to listen to their bodies and get help when something feels wrong. The family stayed in Washington after Ammy's treatment so she could stay close to good hospitals. The rumored drama that drove Matt Brown away from Alaskan Bush People. It's been a while since fans saw Matt Brown on Alaskan Bush People. Once a regular on the show, Matt quietly disappeared after going through some tough personal battles, including 2 rehab stays for alcohol issues, and serious allegations of made by 2 women connected to the show. While the Los Angeles District Attorney chose not to file charges, the damage to Matt's image and possibly his family ties was done. But was that the full story? Not exactly, if you believe what some fans are saying online. A Reddit thread from curious Alaskan Bush People followers recently brought up an interesting twist. A rumored love triangle involving Matt, his brother Joshua Bam Bam Brown, and a female producer from the show. According to some posts, Matt and Bam may have both had feelings for the same woman, which reportedly caused big-time friction between the brothers behind the scenes. One user even claimed that Bam is still with that producer today and that they live together in South Carolina, away from the family's homestead in Washington. Another user chimed in saying, "Didn't Bam leave the show for a little bit to be with a producer or something?" And someone else claimed, "He bagged the producer and Matt went off the deep end." Whether this is true or not, it seems clear the Brown brothers were dealing with more than just the stress of filming a reality show. To be fair, the Alaskan Bush People family has always been a bit mysterious when it comes to their personal lives. They're private, and not everything that happens off camera makes it into the show. So while these rumors are spicy and dramatic, there's no official confirmation about any behind-the-scenes love triangle or whether it was a major factor in Matt's departure. What we do know is that Matt is no longer a part of the show, and he remains estranged from his family. He currently lives in Loomis, Washington, near the family's ranch, but it doesn't look like he's spending much time with his siblings or his mother, Ammy. Despite the distance and past drama, Matt has been open online about his sobriety journey. He's still working hard to stay clean and rebuild his life, which fans have found both inspiring and heartbreaking. Meanwhile, Bam is still connected to the show in some capacity, reportedly flying in for filming while living in another state. He keeps a low profile, especially when it comes to his relationship with the rumored producer girlfriend. The real reason the Browns left the Alaskan wilderness. The Brown family, known from the hit reality show Alaskan Bush People, made a big life change a few years back. After spending years living off the grid in the rugged Alaskan wilderness, they packed up and moved to Okanogan County, Washington. It was a surprising turn for fans who were used to watching them hunt, fish, and survive in the harsh conditions of remote Alaska. But this move wasn't just about scenery, it was about survival of a different kind. The biggest reason for the move was Ammy Browns' health. In 2017, Ammy was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. The news hit the family hard. Living in the wild made getting proper medical care extremely difficult, so the Browns made the tough decision to leave Alaska behind. Ammy's treatment took place in California, where she went through weeks of chemotherapy and radiation. Thankfully, the treatment worked, and by 2020, Ammy was declared cancer-free. But doctors told her she'd still need regular checkups and easy access to health care, something Alaska couldn't offer. That's when Washington State became their new home. The Browns bought a huge 435-acre property in Okanogan County. The area still had a remote, natural feel to it, but it was much closer to doctors, hospitals, and everything Ammy might need for her recovery. The land, tucked into the North Cascade Mountains, gave the family room to spread out and build a new version of their off-the-grid life. They called it North Star Ranch. But moving wasn't easy. The road to their new property was muddy, unpaved, and tough to drive on, especially after rainstorms. At one point, they even had to ask the county for help adding gravel so they could get in and out without getting stuck. And not everyone in the area was thrilled to have reality TV stars as new neighbors. Some locals didn't like the attention or the camera crews, but despite the bumps in the road, literally and socially, the Browns were determined to settle in. Even though they left behind their original homestead in Alaska, called Browntown, the family stayed true to their roots. They kept working on being self-reliant by raising animals, growing food, and building their own homes on the land. They also continued filming Alaskan Bush People, giving fans a glimpse of their new life and all the challenges that came with starting over. The heartbreaking tragedy of Bam Brown. Joshua Bam Bam Brown, one of the stars of Alaskan Bush People, is known for being the quiet, responsible member of the Brown family. While others in the wolf pack sometimes grab the spotlight with wild antics, Bam has always kept his head down and worked hard. But in 2022, tragedy struck, and Bam found himself at the center of a heartbreaking accident that changed everything. It happened in May 2022 on US Route 97 in Washington. Bam was driving his GMC truck when a Chevy Camaro suddenly crossed over into oncoming traffic. The accident was quick and terrifying. Bam reportedly tried to swerve out of the way to avoid a crash, but there wasn't enough time. The two vehicles collided at the corners, and the impact was severe. Sadly, the Camaro's driver, 24-year-old Lorena Martinez Gonzalez, and her passenger, 28-year-old Gabriela Garcia Harrison, didn't survive. It was a devastating moment, one that shook Bam and left fans heartbroken. Bam was taken to the hospital with minor injuries and was later released. Thankfully, he survived, but witnesses said he looked visibly shaken. According to reports from Washington state troopers, Bam wasn't at fault. The crash investigation showed he did everything he could to avoid the accident. His quick reaction may have even prevented a worse outcome. After the crash, Bam went quiet. He didn't post about it on social media and didn't speak publicly about the accident. That wasn't surprising. He's always been the private one in the Brown family. Still, fans were left wondering how he was doing, especially since he had been dealing with other personal issues in the past, like rehab and family tension. The accident wasn't shown or discussed in the newer seasons of Alaskan Bush People, and that was likely by choice. Bam has never liked putting his personal pain on display, but even without being featured on the show, the crash had a big impact. It was a reminder that no matter how tough or careful someone is, life can still take an unexpected turn. Today, Bam is reportedly living a quieter life off the mountain, close to the family's Washington property with his longtime girlfriend. He's still part of the Alaskan Bush People world, but he seems to be focusing more on his own healing and recovery. What happened to the Alaskan Bush People star? Fans of Alaskan Bush People were hit with heartbreaking news when it was announced that Billy Brown, the head of the Brown family and the star of the show, had passed away. Billy died at the age of 68 after suffering a seizure at the family's Washington home. The news came as a shock to viewers who had followed his journey for years on the Discovery Channel. Billy wasn't just a TV personality. He was the heart and soul of the Brown family. Known for his big beard, strong opinions, and deep love for the wilderness, Billy helped turn Alaskan Bush People into a fan favorite. He taught his family how to live off the grid, far away from modern life, and viewers admired his rugged lifestyle, love for nature, and dedication to his wife, Ammy, and their 7 kids. His son, Bear Brown, shared the sad news on Instagram. In an emotional post, Bear wrote, "We are heartbroken to announce that our beloved patriarch Billy Brown passed away last night after suffering from a seizure. He was our best friend, a wonderful and loving dad, granddad, and husband. He lived his life on his terms, off the grid and off the land, and taught us to live like that as well." The Discovery Channel also paid tribute, calling Billy a trailblazer and one of a kind. For years, Billy had been a major part of the network's family, ever since Alaskan Bush People first aired in 2014. Billy and his wife Ammy raised their children in the wilds of Alaska before moving to Washington in 2017. The move came after Ammy was diagnosed with lung cancer and needed to be closer to medical care. Thankfully, Ammy responded well to treatment, and the family settled on a large property in Okanogan County, where they continued their off-grid lifestyle. Even in the later seasons of the show, Billy was still passionate about his way of life. He wanted his children to stay close, live simply, and rely on the land. His dream was for the family to stick together and build a self-sufficient home in the wilderness. Billy's death leaves a big hole in the Brown family and in the hearts of viewers who followed their story. He was more than just a survivalist. He was a father, husband, and mentor. He taught his kids not only how to hunt and build, but also how to be strong in the face of life's toughest moments. As the family moves forward without their beloved patriarch, they plan to honor his memory and continue the life he loved so much. Billy Brown may be gone, but his legacy lives on through his family, the show, and the countless fans who admired his wild spirit. Rest in peace, Billy. You'll always be the heart of the Alaskan Bush People.